There we go. Hello, y'all. How y'all doing? Hey, what's going on, Lisa? Awesome. Thank you for the props. I appreciate it. He just says what the fuck? My status, my ego is more inflated now. Heck, you're welcome. Thanks for being a great supporter. Yeah. Back today on talk about some science. I have been looking into the final experiment stuff, which has been amazing. It's so entertaining. Oh my gosh. So and I give my props again because I remember at first I was saying, man, why are they sending flat earthers there? Maybe they should send like some scientists or something, somebody who, But this is so entertaining. It's been so fun. Awesome, Lisa. Thanks. She says, always happy to listen. Your channel is highly underrated. Awesome. Thank you. Hopefully it keeps building. Notice I put almost 300 subscribers. I should probably put almost, but I think it'll be 300 soon. Like it's close to 300. So yeah, I appreciate that. Thank y'all for subscribing. Everybody who subscribed. I appreciate it. Hopefully you share and continue to build it up. Yes. So I enjoy talking about the science. I mean, part of me, I mean, I do find it interesting still talking about the dirt, but I just don't have time for that. I gotta focus on the science. So I gotta make sure I'm progressing in my school stuff. So that's why I usually focus on the science, so I can focus on the stuff that I do. But the good thing about it is there are some stuff that some people who are focusing on the dirt who are making it very entertaining. Like for instance, I'm gonna start with something else. Maybe I should add that into the title. I'll add that later. But I found this cool video by Culture Cats. I'm gonna share that really fast. And uh, he's basically breaking down how journalism is going through grief, and he does what I would not afford the time to do, but I'm glad he did. And of course, he's been doing this for a while, so he probably has all of these clips saved and everything. But here's the share. Um, So uh he went to like all the different channels and got their videos, right? And he's sharing how all these flat earthers, how they, you know, was dunking on people who were saying they were going to Antarctica, and they were calling them lies and shields, and saying that they're uh you know blowing snow into the sky to cloud the sun to prevent. This is a bunch of crazy stuff. Matter of fact, let me put the link inside the uh, chat. I'm still focused on the science more, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But I did think that this was so awesome that he did this. Share the right video. Yeah. So I suggest everybody to check that video out. And Lisa says Jaren is the most intellectually honest flirt, which means he won't be a flirt for too much longer. Hey, I'm going to share a clip to that effect momentarily. But and you said the most, right? I mean, I have seen him in a debate with Aaron Ra when Aaron Ra just absolutely eviscerated him. I mean, Aaron Ra is one of the people who motivated me to start debating myself. Yeah, exactly. Most, right? Not 100% honest, but the most, right? I could agree with that. What comes to mind is when he talked with Aaron Ra, and Aaron Ra was saying, I mean, journals was saying that, you know, how they have this thing where flights match the flat earth and there's no flight that goes from here to here because, and so on and so forth. So Aaron Ra was like, okay, let's put it up. He put it up live. And when he did, he proved journalism wrong. And then journalism just started saying something like, I didn't say that, or I meant something else. He just, and Aaron Ra just called him out straight. You're lying. We have it on recording. This is what you said. I prove you wrong. And now you, so, but to your credit, uh, I have seen journalism admit to things more than most other flat earthers, like he's doing now with the sun. So if you check that video out, you'll be able to see that. So that was pretty cool. And let me see what's going on with my audio. I noticed that this is not playing for y'all. So maybe I muted something or something. Oh, I know what it is. Usually I'm playing it through my other speakers is what it is. So I got to change which speaker is my default. So I've had the room to myself since my roommate went to my dorm mate went to visit his family for the holidays. This time I stayed on campus for the holidays. So usually I have everything going to my notice I have my ear things in. So that's why the audio wasn't going through.
He was highlighting.
There we go. So this is the video with Conspiracy Cast. I suggest everybody go see it, go like it, share it. It's a short video. It's only like 13 minutes, but he just shares the most amazing clips of journalism, basically saying all the stuff people are saying to him, and you'll see how journalism is calling people liars and they're faking it. And now when people say the same thing about him who were following him, but now since he's telling the truth, of course, now he's a shill. He's calling them, stupid or idiots or crazy or something, just like Witzer did. Witzer was calling his followers insane because they were saying that he wasn't really true. So it's amazing. But let's check out a few of these clips and then I'll go into the science. So this is from journalism's his live session when he came back. It made me actually subscribe. I actually subscribed to him. It's not, you can't see it. There it is right there. I was like, yeah, speaking some truth. I took him to subscribe. Let me play this for you. Short clip. So let me bring it back to the front.
You got to know it's round at this point, right? It certainly fits the sphere model. The sky matches the sphere. That the sky can only be explained on a sphere. Am I ready to say that I'm living on that sphere? Well, I'm going to keep it open for a little while to see if anybody has any better ideas, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is the end result, to be honest. Do you have any empathy with other researchers who have had to deal with the same sort of vitriol you have since coming back, being called liars, charlatans, despite them seeing things with their own eye? Of course. Anybody who's just giving honest opinion, who is then being told they're a pedophile, or that they are going to be killed in the night because some crazy guy on Facebook can't deal with reality. Yeah, I have a problem with them. You're either lying or you were there and have your own verifiable proof. I'm going with the lying. Okay, good for you. You got to know it's rounded. Jaron, Neil Johnson, what can I help you with? It's like, look at how sad this is that flat earthers want nothing more than for me to lie to them. I mean, that is a sad, sad situation.
Think about this. What they want is what journalism has been telling them for years. That's what they want. Okay, so if what journalism is saying now, they don't want to hear, if they want him to say what he said before, and that is a lie, I mean, he's been lying to them for years, right? Let's hear this again.
Jaron, Neil Johnson, what can I help you with? It's like, look at how sad this is that flat earthers want nothing more than for me to lie to them. I mean, that is a sad, sad situation.
They want him to continue saying, no, it's fake. You can't go to Antarctica, or if you go to soundstage, all the stuff that you'll see him saying in Pat's clip. That's what they want more of. They want more of what he's been telling them for years. So that means he's been lying for years. Maybe he's going to connect that at some point. And Lisa says, first eating their own, the desperation. Hey, it's the same thing with all these, delusion type. Like the same thing with the gender ideology nonsense. When somebody finally realizes, you know what, if you're a man, you're a man, you're a woman, you're a woman, and maybe they thought there was some trans thing going on before, they get ousted and attacked. The same thing with the critical race theory stuff. Somebody believing all this critical race theory, anti-racism stuff, and finally they realize, oh my gosh, y'all are racist. Then they get ousted. It's the same thing. So all of these cult-like groups, they once you start speaking the truth, then you get ousted very quickly. Last one. 5 seconds.
Is garbage. The guy is just making shit up. How does it feel to finally prove what?
So journalism going off on somebody just making shit up. But if you look at those videos, those clips in Katz's video that I linked in the chat right there, and that you saw the first one, you'll see that he was just making shit up. So with a tangled web we weave. That's how the saying goes, right? So let me transition to my pad, and we'll talk about my cosmology book a bit. We could chat about this a little bit more while I'm pulling this up. Lisa says moral outrage makes something into a big deal that really isn't a big deal. What do you mean? What do you mean, Lisa? Flesh that one out for me. Maybe she means like saying it's all like fake and stuff. And I have to, it's giving me some, just haven't logged into Discord in a while or something. It's making me do this thing. All right, let's see here. Awesome. Lisa says moral outrage is to make people be mad about something that isn't a real issue, like CRT. Yes, not a real issue, but hype to be one. Yes, awesome. That's correct. That's correct. And I was too focused on the flat Earth thing. I was thinking it was referring to that. Yeah, man. They the first thing that comes to mind is because I was thinking about this the other day. Like I took this Black Studies course, and in I don't even believe in race. Like, and even in the course, ironically, they talked about that how geneticists have already studied the human code enough to know that there's really no such thing as race. Like when they study people within the groups that we claim to be racist, we see that there's not really these separate racial groups. As a matter of fact, the the differences within what we call racial groups, there's more difference there in between the racial groups we set up genetically. Like it's just not true. Um, and even before I knew the genetic thing, I thought, well, hold up, all of us can have kids with each other, so we can't like be a different species. It must all be the same because no matter what color your skin is, you can have children with each other just like normal. It's not. So obviously, there's only one human race, right? But and in this class, he made a big deal about all of that. And another thing he made a big deal about was how much money that um uh who was it? Jeff Bezos, is that the guy over at Amazon? The money that Jeff Bezos made, and he made this graph showing, oh, this is how much the average person made, and and look, and he just like kept scrolling how much your boy make. Okay, but I know he makes a lot of money being a professor at a top tier university. I'm pretty sure he's not giving away the whatever thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars or maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars he makes over the median income. I'm sure he's not giving that away. I'm sure he's keeping the money he's making over the median income, but he wants to focus on your boy's money. So, like I said, the moral outrage is moral outrage. Let me look at this guy. But let's not talk about the fact that I'm making more money than the average person. No, let's not talk about that. Let's just focus on this guy, right? And you know, capitalism is good, right? The fact that one person could be a multi-billionaire, that's good. Because everybody can put forth their best effort. Well, not everybody, because most people they're fine just cruising along. But I'm just saying that somebody wants to put forth amazing effort, like what Elon Musk is doing with rockets getting ready to go to the moon and this electronic car boom and all the stuff he's doing. If his income was capped, well, no matter what he did, he could not make more than like 40,000 a year or something, or whatever the median is. I mean, why would somebody, for instance, go through what 2 decades of schooling to be a doctor in the end? Like you have to go to undergraduate, then you got to go to graduate and medical school, and then you have to do like a what do they call it? Something like an internship or residency, and then you have to do all this stuff. But then after you do all of that, you make the same money as the person who works the checkout counter at the grocery store down the street. You go through all that, and you make the same exact money as that guy. The same exact. You make the same, like we're talking about like communism and socialism. You make the same exact money. You can only own the same exact car. You can only live in the same exact house because everybody has to be equal. Everybody has the same. But you're putting forward, you're saving lives on a daily basis, and you have to have this specialized training. But no, it's just crazy. So I think if these people really lived in the type of society that they want to have moral outrage, like if they really wanted to live in the type of society that they talk about in their moral outrage bursts, I'm pretty sure they would not like it. But maybe I need to talk about that one day. So let me share my pad here, and we'll talk about my cosmology textbook. I've been getting into that. Hold up. Here, this audio. Thing about it is, I have for this one, so not everything will be on the pad. I'll talk about it. Just sharing the wrong one. Thing does have some kind of lag. I don't know what's up with that. Like you click something, but it doesn't necessarily click right away. You click off it and come back. There it is. All right, user error. There we go. So, oh, and Lisa says Anthea Butler is an amazing author about racism and religion. I'll make a note of that name. Apparently, it sounds like she must undo the what do you call it? Critical race theory nonsense. I saw that movie by Matt. I can't remember his last name. Matt. I probably should remember his last name because he made the "What Is a Woman" documentary, and it was awesome. Uh, with Matt, he made this "Am I a Racist" documentary. I went and saw it, and it's all right. It wasn't as good as It wasn't as good as "What Is a Woman," but it's worth seeing. I don't like the fact that he sort of, it could be said he was going undercover, but also it seemed kind of duplicitous the way he invaded their little talks. But I don't know, but it was worth seeing. So this is my cosmology book, by the way. Let me show it to y'all. That next to my face. This is interesting. Okay, I'll just pull up an image of it and show y'all. That's what I'll do. But it's called Introduction to Cosmology. That's the book that I'll be studying in one of the ones I'll be studying in next semester. And I'm starting to go through it. If I get all A's this next semester, I can graduate with an A minus. So I'm trying to see if I can get all A's. I have gotten all A's a semester before, but usually it was not a full semester. But I have to take a full, like, in other words, I made one class pass, fail, or something like that. But this one, I have to take all the classes I can graduate on time, and so we'll see how it goes. Let me add this file, this image I thought I'd be able to show you all on screen. Right, there it is there. So this is what the textbook is. Oh yeah, and I work two part-time jobs. So I work as a learning assistant, which is just plain fun. I mean, I want to be a professor in the future. And that sort of helps with my classes, I would say. Like I took, got an A minus in electrodynamics, and I was a learning assistant. And so basically, electrodynamics is like the next level of electricity and magnetism. And I was a learning assistant in electricity and magnetism, which I was a learning assistant for 3 times. So, I did all right in my EM class. I'm sure I made an A. I don't remember what there was one class I didn't make an A in community college, maybe a two. So I'm sure I made an A in it. It was a while ago. So I had to refresh myself, and but still, I was able to refresh myself on things, and some of the things were directly related to my. Well, I mean, of course, everything is directly related to electrodynamics, but when I say directly related, like sometimes they literally asked us questions from earlier class, maybe to give us an easy question on an exam once in a while. But it definitely helped. So I did that. So I guess that can't necessarily count as I mean, it is a part-time job. I have to do office hours, and I mean, it takes time. But what I did helped me in class. And I'm a security coordinator, which means I have to sit at the front desk and help guard people and look out for any suspicious things on the cameras. That does take time, even though a lot of times I can study while I'm there. But yeah, I did a lot this semester, and I still made a pretty good. I think I have to. I think if I focus only on school strictly, I don't think I will do as well. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like I mean, when I say focus only on school, like I take and teach people in my office hours. But technically, I'm not studying my stuff. I'm doing something at my security coordinator job. I'm not studying at the time because I'm doing whatever. I think it in a way helps, but it does take time away from studying. But if I study 100% of the time, I don't think it'll go so well. But it was fun. It worked out. So, but now I know. I did the math. I haven't seen what the like. I know there's some leeway, right? Like maybe I can make all A's and a B. I don't know. I have to look at it in more detail. But I know if I make all A's, I'll get an A minus. So I'll try to do it. So I've been trying to start a bit early this semester. So I got this. I already had this book actually. I was going to take this class a few semesters ago, but it just didn't work out with my schedule. So I just held on to the book, of course. I knew I was going to take the class. You have to take so many classes in astronomy, like high upper level class. Like this is an upper level astronomy class. So you have to take so many to get your astronomy degree. So I know I was going to take this one out of the ones I can choose from. I knew I was going to like cosmology, but I did have to wait until I could fit it into my semester, which I can do this semester pretty easily. Work with the armed penguins. Got to keep the Antarctica safe from flare. So, hey, brings back Jaren. He didn't see any penguins there, and yeah, it's craziness. But we're all indebted to Will Definitely for getting that going, because that's just throwing so much of a wrench. I mean, it's just so amazing. Matter of fact, I saw a debate with the other day. MC2 had a debate with talking about work. I think I was at work at the time. Was I at work? No, or I was sleeping for work. I don't know. Whatever it was, it was something to do with work because I'm still at my security coordinator job now. And I didn't see it while I was live, but I saw the recording earlier today. It was so funny. Oh my gosh, it was funny. Yeah, I saw that video. Oh my gosh. Just MC2, he don't play. He don't play. But awesome. The cosmology books. Again, I won't be able to share the screen with y'all, but I'll be able to talk about it. So it's the second edition. And so far it seems pretty good. An interesting thing that it points out is cosmology is all about the big stuff. So currently in cosmology, I didn't know this, I didn't realize this myself. The scale of cosmology is on the largest scale. So basically what they do is they consider galaxies as objects. So in astronomy, we might study a galaxy, and you know, we would look at the galaxy, but we may want to zoom in on let's say, this star here and this star there, and or this cluster there, and like what I'm doing with the perceptive cluster. We're astronomy. You're looking at the finer um, details of things that's going on. But in cosmology, right? If you take this galaxy here and you zoom out, the galaxy becomes just like a point. And what cosmology does is it takes these galaxies and considers each galaxy as just a little point object, and starts to look at the universe as if the universe is filled with these little dots that happen to be galaxies. They're pretty interesting. So the scale is going to be awesome. Um, we'll see how that goes. Uh, Another thing that interested me about this book, it mentioned all the things that you need to know to approach the topic. Like apparently, this book is made from the lectures of this guy. So this guy is, of course, an astronomer and astrophysicist, and he lectured at Ohio State University, and he yes, the ultimate grand scale. So I mean, that's crazy, right? And I think it'll be fun. It was either this or there's this class called it's something called something in planets. It's about planet formation, and I don't know. I like stars more than planet formation, so I didn't want to take that one. I think there was one on technically there was one on white dwarfs, but I remember that was a physics course. I can't necessarily get credit for that in astronomy, but then there was a few other courses. But out of the ones I can take, cosmology, cosmology, galaxies, and the universe, which is the one I took the other semester, and astrophysics seem more interesting to me. So those like the upper level astronomy courses I took. But yes, the grandest scale and the things that we need, ironically, and it's good that I took this course last. I think I could have taken it earlier, but it says that in his lectures, he'll assume his students have survived freshman and sophomore physics, so it's pushed towards juniors and seniors. I'm a senior. And it says we need a basic understanding in electrodynamics. I was just talking about that earlier. And electrodynamics is basically looking at electricity and magnetism. You're looking at it from a more detailed scale. Like if you look at these flat earthers who pretend to know science, who have no clue what they're talking about, they just regurgitate the you know the basic talking points that you might hear in undergraduate or not undergraduate, but high school. I meant to say, or even a lower level undergraduate physics course. What they don't realize is a lot of that stuff is rounded. When I say rounded, I mean like for instance, uh, if you have a charge, if you have a charge, right? And let me draw my charge better. If you have a charge and this charge is moving, so we have a charge, I'll call this charge Q. And we'll say that this charge is moving in this direction. Right? Lower level electrodynamics will look at this charge and say, and let's make it a positive charge, because we consider current from the direction of positive charge. So let's say that this charge is moving, and let's say it's a part of a stream of charges. Right? So let's say that this positive charge is a part of a stream of charges that are moving to the right. So what we can do is we can say that this is dq over dt is moving at a certain rate, and we can call that a current. Um, but from the perspective of the charge that's moving, it's a charge that's moving. Right? But if you're standing on the side of this thing, you end up having a current that's moving, and we on the side see a magnetic field. So this goes back to let me see if I can remember the equation. Um, is it B equals I cross L? Yeah, I believe that's it. Don't quote me on the equation. We had a formula sheet, so I didn't memorize all the equations. But I believe it's B equals I dot DL, where the observer standing on the side that's not moving with the charge will see a magnetic field. With the charge here that's moving in itself, the magnetic field will be zero. which is how we can have the matter of fact, I remember, and I talked about this a little bit earlier. So a lot of the things that as you start to get into the detail, like if you want to build an actual device that you have to start to take into account, these guys will never be able to, for instance, build a computer or build a power plant with the level of knowledge that they know, because it is not able to take into account all the variables, because they just find this surface level stuff that they parrot and pretend like they know what they're talking about. That's why when I was debating with Alan and Toby, I had asked them about that proper time, because it was clear to me that these guys didn't really study this stuff. And at the time, I only took a survey course that covered relativity, but that was enough for me to know that these guys have no clue what they're talking about. And I asked them just a basic question. That's one of the things that we solve in that class, was we have to solve for the proper time of something that's moving at relativistic speeds. They're talking about satellites and relativity, trying to school Tony. It's clear. Like, let me just ask you this very simple question. And thinking about it, by the way, like I remember they asked me as a challenge what this meant. Ironically, I had to look at this again in electrodynamics. It was this right here. And I vaguely remember seeing it in that modern physics class, but we're honest as global, so I say I didn't know, because I wasn't really sure. I never looked at it specifically in that paper, and I couldn't quite remember it from relativity, because I had took that course like a few semesters ago at that point. But in this class in electrodynamics, I had to look at it again, because again, looking at this, we have to calculate electric fields and magnetic fields and look at it from a relativistic perspective. So this is where that was from. So ironically, that same thing that was in that MMX paper, we called it B in electromagnetism, or I think they might have called it gamma. One or two. It's nicer to say that relativistic effect take part. We used to say as flirts don't know anything. They distrust knowledge and systems of knowledge. They are deliberately amputating their most important faculty, critical thinking. But I said it better myself, right? And that's what we saw with the clips with uh uh Adurianism, right? He's being accused of things that any critically thinking person, like if you one of the clips, like I looked through a little bit of the video just to, because I basically conspiracy cats showed the clip of him admitting that he might be a glober momentarily. And I fought that part of the video, and I just looked a little bit around there, and just in that little part, all the little clips that I showed here was just from that little part. So there's probably a gold mine of stuff from a psychological perspective. He's going through these realizations in that part of the video. But conspiracy cats showed how he was, like you said, amputating his own followers' critical thinking by making them believe that they can be shooting up some fog in the air and faking Antarctica. Or he had a video, journalism, you'll see this in the conspiracy cast, the president was showing one of the 24-hour videos from Antarctica, and he was saying, look at that flag. The flag is, it was some silly thing that he was saying it was CGI. Totally annihilating his own and his followers' critical thinking. So the stuff he's running into now, as conspiracy cats pointing out, is what he trained them to think. So the flat earthers training their followers to be anti-critical thinking, and now is biting himself in the back. So it's wow. Another thing they say we need, other than electrodynamics in order to study cosmology, we need statistical mechanics, which I can't say I like statistical mechanics, but I'm going to have to get good at it. So I'm also starting to look into I'm also going to be taking thermodynamics and statistical mechanics, which, by the way, I have a debate, Lisa, planned with Flatzoid. I didn't want to mention it before because I didn't know if it was going to come through, because I got tired of saying I'm going to debate this person and then they pull out or whatever. But we're already in talks with, it kind of is going to be on the 11th, where we're going to debate the second law of thermodynamics. So, like I said, I like to focus on my school stuff, so I'm going to be taking thermodynamics in the spring, so I'm starting to look into it in a bit more detail, so we're going to debate that right before the semester starts. But what I learned looking into my thermodynamics textbook is that statistical mechanics is important for astrophysics. It's like Like he's breaking down the fact that, well, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'll talk about it more in the debate. So suffice it to say, I'm going to have to learn a lot of statistical mechanics, which I didn't want to have to learn because I don't like math too much. I mean, I'm definitely, I'm proficient with it, learning physics because you have so much integration and stuff to do. But would I be a math major? No. And I know that because I was going to be a math major, and I realized I hated proofs. So then I gave up the math major for making astronomy my second major because, like, I like astronomy, like I like physics, but math. Can't say maybe I could say I hate it. I don't know, depending on what the math is. But I'm gonna have to learn that a lot. Classical dynamics. Right now, I just took this class in the fall. I got an A in it. I did well enough where I didn't even have to uh, the final because the subject just made sense to me. And basically, similar to like the flat earthers talk about Newton and stuff and think they understand it. But again, the level of stuff that they talk about is all the watered down stuff. Like the higher you go into uh, uh, physics, the more you start to get into less. And a good example just came to mind: air resistance. Lisa says flat Zoid and thermodynamics. That'll be funny. Yeah, it will be. But I mean, I'm pretty sure he would just do what they always do. Like you notice when I asked him about it in our debate with the moon thing, he just tries to answer a different question that fits into his his script. It's just I don't know what he's going to do, but we'll see. So we'll see. So I'm definitely going to push him on that, and maybe we could. I was about to say maybe we could address this thing once and for all, but we all know the first reset happens, and we just make up something like my debate with Witsit. I showed how G is always gravity, and the mass of the Earth is involved, and he just jumped on. Oh, well, you did cancel the mass. He just find anything to just make up that is bad, and people just believe it. It's amazing. So I don't have any higher hopes that it'll make any kind of big impression on the flat earthers, but the few that might be thinking or honest, or the most honest ones, I should say, like you said earlier, at least the most honest ones, I'm sure they'll be able to garner something from it and say, hey, these people don't know what they're talking about. But like going back to, let's say, Newtonian mechanics, a lot of the uh, calculations in the lower level physics, you just drop an object and maybe you might end up using that equation that I derived in that debate. It was 1/2 GT squared plus VOT plus X, if I remember right. Right. So maybe you'll just use this and find out what X of T is when it's falling, and you have that. But in fact, there's air resistance, so we have to take that into account. So it ends up being a lot more complicated when you start to look at this stuff in real life, like when militaries do projectiles, like their missiles, right? The things that they have to take into account, uh, um, jet engines and airplanes. We have to take into account air resistance with the drag, with the stability of the craft not falling apart. So there's so much detail involved in all of these things um, that our lives depend upon. The flat earthers will say that these people are wrong while they're using cell phone service, right? That's based upon the electromagnetics as we say it is, not the way they say it is, right? That's based upon this nonsense of kinematics and dynamics. I think Whitson mentioned that even in our debate, but there was only so many things I could focus on. But I do want to talk to somebody about this dynamics, kinematics, and they try to make this. What adventures do they have? They have none. No adventures, no laws of nature. They just make up stuff and pretend like they know, right? Is amazing. But um, the people who actually know stuff, who make the airplanes and the power plants, they have to understand this stuff. In reality, also, we wouldn't have electricity. Also, I wouldn't be able to power my computer right now. And all the flat earthers in the world who are powering their computers, the people who are powering your computer, they understand electromagnetics. Whitsit does not understand electricity and magnetism. The people who are powering your computer, to say that they don't understand it, those people really do understand it, even though you're saying they don't, because they're powering your computer with their knowledge of electrodynamics. The fact that flat earthers can't understand this or connect that dot goes back to what you were saying, Lisa, about the critical thinking. Like they say this stuff is wrong while using technology that's based upon the stuff. But the critical thinking is shot. Hey, Siddharth. It's hard in there. Thanks for dropping the line. And he says, at this point, we're all best buddies with kinematics and dynamics equivalence. Yeah, I guess we've heard it enough, but it's just absolute nonsense, right? Also, let's not forget, he says, Wisted is the only person in the world that says one half of two. Talk about demonstrating mathematical literacy. Yeah, whatever that. Yeah, I haven't heard him. I may have heard it, but didn't pay attention to it. But yeah, I mean, these guys just is amazing. I mean, it's just so amazing. I always knew I liked physics, but I was always fishing around for what I would want my second major to be. And even before math, it was going to be psychology. So that's why I'm so interested in this flat earth stuff, because I'm still interested in psychology. I'm still interested in math as far as enough of it to help me understand physics. But I am interested in psychology, and it's just amazing stuff. It's amazing stuff. And Lisa says Einstein collaborated with Italian mathematician Levi Civita, where Einstein said he rode the horse of mathematics while he walked. And it's true. I mean, I saw one of the physicists say mathematics is the language of physics, something like that. I mean, we have to do math. There's no question about it. I mean, there's a lot of books. A few of the books I studied a little bit. They're long. I think there we go. I think my hand hit the wire. Sorry about that. Thanks for mentioning it. Yeah. So awesome. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, my hand had to move this cord. I'm in a different setup now, so everything is a bit different. So I think I'm just moving my hands in a way I'm used to moving them, and I'm hitting the wire now because my desk is set up a little differently in my winter dorm. And my mic right here, I hit the cord a little bit. I think enough to where it disconnected. Yeah. In fact, what was that? What was the last point I was saying? I forgot the last point. I was in the middle of a multi-point thing, and now oh, no, I lost my train of thought. But I'm sure it'll come back. But awesome. I was saying some of the things that we need, classical dynamics. Another thing they mentioned, quantum mechanics. How can I forget? So we need quantum for cosmology. You might think why. So, so quantum mechanics is important because, like for instance, light. Quantum mechanics is I mean, it's starting to come to me. All the things that is in like chemistry, like the whole thing is about the bonding of elements because they're sharing electrons. So all the things about the different, I don't remember off the top of my head, but there's the different orbits of the uh, electrons. Like you can have so many at different orbits. All of that stuff goes into quantum mechanics. How many electrons can occupy a certain uh, band? Like you can have one with an upspin, one with a downspin, and you have to have these alternating ones like in these different orbits. All of this stuff goes back to quantum. And then when you're dealing with light, like if you have a photon that's going through the universe and it impacts a galaxy. Let me copy my previous galaxy um, image. Impacts a galaxy, and if it's going to be absorbed and then reflected back to, so let's say this light is coming from, wherever it's coming from. Actually, let me put this differently. Let's say we have a galaxy here, And let's say we have a gas cloud here, right? And when this light is coming from that galaxy, hits this gas cloud, there's going to be quantum mechanics that determines that this light is absorbed in this electron and in this atom here of whatever element it is, and then gets emitted back and comes to us here at the outskirts of the Milky Way galaxy. And then we look at that light and we can determine what the elements are. We can determine that because we understand quantum mechanics, and we can see that the energy level of this photon here is such that it must be this element. You know, uh, and Lisa said some flirts say lights get tired. Yeah, have seen that. That's one thing I think is just sad. I mean, I think that really just makes me sad that somebody would actually. And matter of fact, let me bring uh journalism back into this.
Stream is garbage. The guy is just making shit up.
It's making shit up. Let's hear it one more time. What are they doing, Joran?
He's just making shit up.
Just making shit up. So that's what they do. But again, that's what people like journalism taught them to do. When journalism would show them a video, like with the Spurs. Matter of fact, let's look at that real briefly. I think this is such an awesome video about conspiracy cats. It's something that I would like to do if I take the time, because like I said, conspiracy cat's been in it for a while. He probably has all these clips saved. If I have the time to go look up these clips, I think it's pretty interesting to their words next to each other. Like ironically, what I did with Witsit and now DB when I captured some.
Are you looking for a new fence or gate?
Saying no,
so I'm going to share this really fast.
In Antarctica, you had been taken somewhere else to a secret island, and Jonism, he wasn't impressed with that accusation.
Where they would likely take them is to
Find this particular clip.
Let's have a real look. None of us. It all seems to. He learnt about the Midnight Clock, who was questionable, who followed his followers. Took a while because she. Of course, comes the accusation that anybody involved in this project is, without any evidence whatsoever, some kind of shill or weaponized opposition.
Right off the bat, any flat earther that goes
a bit,
and then
just point and look at evidence like video footage and
camera
here it is.
Fake time-lapse footage, and I don't even
check
have
this out.
editing skills.
Maybe I should adjust this crop
You already see the green screen malfunctioning because why is his pocket a green screen?
Why didn't you ask somebody before just spouting off your stupid mouth?
I know.
But we can't blame the lady because she's been trained by the flat earthers who came before her to simply just point and look at evidence like video footage and claim it's fake. Because that's what you did, Joranism.
Again, we could just keeping our eye on what we're seeing in front of us now. Watch that green flag right in front of you. Watch as the shadow goes around in a half circle and then stops and resets and starts over. This is clear evidence that they are adjusting or faking webcam footage in order to prove to you something that is not true.
Next, of course.
When you tell him that stuff, he taught them to think that way. He literally taught them to think that way. So, first, I mean, it just seems like they all just repeat. It's like when I was talking with Flatzoid and I asked him, show us the equation, show us the math behind this. Since the second law of thermodynamics does this, show us in the language of the second law of thermodynamics. All he can do is revert back to the same script. You have a container and you open it up. In no way could he address it in the language of second law of thermodynamics. But who started that? Who started the second law of thermodynamics thing? I know before him, Nathan, I saw Nathan saying that. I can't think of the first person I heard say that, but who is it that comes up with this stuff? Who makes this shit up? I guess is what I'm asking. Who does it? Who is so confident in it that they would just say it publicly like that when they clearly have no clue about what electrodynamics is? That's crazy. So I'm assuming thermodynamics is. So yeah, but these are the things that's needed. So what's some other good things that has cosmology that I'll be talking about? I was saying how it covers the universe as a whole. Uh, and he said, I'm going to read this. This is in the introduction. He says, given the complexity, let me go back to the paragraph. Cosmology is the study of the universe or cosmos, regarded as a whole. Attempting to cover the study of the entire universe in a single volume may seem like a megalomaniac's dream. The universe, after all, is richly textured, with structures on a vast range of scales. Planet orbits stars, stars are collected into galaxies, galaxies are gravitationally bound into clusters, and even clusters of galaxies are found within larger superclusters. Given the complexity of the universe, the only way to condense its history into a single book is by a process of rootless simplification. Much of this book, therefore, we will be considering the properties of an idealized, perfectly smooth model of the universe. Only near the end of the book will we consider how relatively small objects, such as galaxies, clusters, and superclusters, are formed as the universe evolves. Let's read that part again. For much of this book, therefore, we will be considering the properties of an idealized, perfectly smooth model universe. Only near the end of the book will we consider how relatively small objects, such as galaxies, clusters, and superclusters, are formed as the universe evolves. So even a cluster of galaxies is a relatively small object in the realm of cosmology. So this is what we're going to be talking about in the semester. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to be touching upon quantum mechanics, electrodynamics, classical dynamics. Of course, you have to still have gravity moving things. And Lisa says they know their mindless followers won't do any research, so they can lie about any physical law, theory, or experiment. Exactly right. So if you look at this, this is my what I had showed in my debate with Richard, right? And the first thing I showed was this right here. How we get, I was writing kind of fast, so it was a little bit messy. But this is acceleration. This is 9.8 meters per second squared, right, which is gravity. And if you put in the gravitational constant, the mass of the Earth, the R here would be the radius of the Earth, because we're talking about at the surface, on the surface of the planet. But when you put this in, with all the units, you output 9.8 meters per second squared. This is what you get. And this is the mass of the Earth. So off the bat, I wanted to show that whenever you say the kinematic equations come, the fact that the kinematic equation has G means you are using the mass of the Earth, you are using the gravitational constant. That means that you are affirming Newton's laws, because it all comes from that. And there's no way you can talk about the kinematic equations without affirming the fact that there's gravity, that Newton's equations worked, and so on and so forth. That's why I started with this. Specifically started with this for this reason. And yet, it was able to take his followers and just print out this part of the algebra and just say, oh, you canceled out I don't remember the nonsense the way he worded it exactly. You can go look at the debate and see. He just had them focus on this. And at one point I addressed it, I said, well, we know, like if you drop, and I asked him, I said, if you drop a bowling ball in the feather, in the vacuum chamber, will they fall at the same pace? And eventually he admitted it, yeah, they do. But that's why this doesn't matter, because no matter what the mass is you drop, it's going to fall at the same pace in the gravitational field, because of the same gravitational field. We showed all of this. We went over all of this in the debate. But still, when I look at the comments, people in the comments were saying, oh, well, you have to cancel our mass, so he proved Rich's point. It's like, what does it take? I mean, so apparently, like you said, Lisa, these people could, the charlatans that's leading it, they could just say whatever. And the flat earth followers just repeat it verbatim, just like how you saw Flatzer doing our debate when he could not actually address my question about thermodynamics. He had to just go to regurgitating that same little strip where if you have a container, you open it, and that's what they do. So like you said, Lisa, part of it is probably they don't have the math and physics understanding to be able to validate it anyway. That's why I showed all the details here. Now they know what they can go look up, this stuff specifically. They can look up these equations. They can look up the gravitational constant. They can look up F equals GMM over R squared. They can look this stuff up. I put it right there for them. But instead, what they do is they just hear what Witsit says and just repeat it verbatim. Oh, you. Well, how did it work? You cancel the causative. I don't know. Whatever Derp the way they say it. Yeah, like you said, Lisa, they have these trigger words that just repeat it without understanding anything, and that's what they do. So right there on the spot, we should just make up another trigger phrase or whatever about this part of the math, and they just repeated it. And I just saw it all through the chat. I saw it even in the live chat. People just repeating that verbiage, and it's like wow. I mean, it's just like wow. So yeah, so this is the derivation I did right there. I showed right there how, and that's why I did all this. Sometimes I'd be heated in the debate. Maybe I could have explained it better. Maybe I could have, but I don't know if it would even have made a difference. But that's why I showed this first, so you can see that wherever you see G, you talking about the mass of the Earth. You're talking about F equals GMM over R squared every time. So it doesn't even matter. People are saying, well, other people say you derive the equations. It doesn't matter. However you get the equation, there's G there, and you're talking about Newton. There's no getting around that. Well, unless you could just say whatever you want, and the people will not critically think about it. Like you were saying, Lisa, how his followers do. But there you go. That's what that was. And this is what I did on MC Tunes channel. Like I was on MC Tunes channels a bit later. And I think I covered. Was it here? No. This is what I did myself just later. I was deriving the other two. It was pretty hard for me to figure out how to do this. I'll show this a little bit before I close up. Because these first two kinematic equations are pretty easy. But in order to get the other ones, you actually have to combine these two. So it took me hours. And this was after the debate. I just did it for fun. And I say I don't like math, but this is a lot of math, but really it's physics. Basically, what you do is we can take equation 2.13 and 2.16, and what you can do is you can combine them in such a way where you end up getting equation 2.15 in the textbook, and you end up getting 2.17, which are different kinematic equations by solving for each one. I couldn't even tell you right now what I did. I would have to actually go through it again. But I'm pretty sure if anybody was to look at this closely, you'll be able to see it. But suffice it to say that ultimately from Newton's law of gravitation and Newton's F equals ma, Newton's second law, you put those two together and you get acceleration at the surface of the Earth. You do some integration and you get these two kinematic equations here to the most known, but then you can combine those two creatively and you get the other two primary kinematic equations, which is what I did here. I actually forgot I did this. So y'all get a treat. But awesome. Top of the hour. I'll go ahead and call it. Always good seeing you, Lisa. Thanks for joining. It was good seeing our newest Siddharth Nair. I don't think I remember seeing him before. Thanks for dropping a line. And I'm almost at 300 subscribers. By the way, I meant to mention this image here. Y'all saw this image before. This is an image that I derived from the Hubble data in my astronomy research class. So I figured that would be a good image to show today. If you notice, my background is slightly different. I spent a little bit of time atomizing all the different components. So now I can switch between backgrounds pretty seamlessly. So it's pretty easy to add this background in. And the pillars of creation, I could switch between whichever one pretty easily. So I thought that was pretty cool to do. So I remember that I did that. So let me go find my pillars of creation. So I'm talking about cosmology. And this is a what do they call this? Sometimes they call it M22, M20, M16. M16, the Eagle Nebula. So I think that's pretty cool. They call it the Pillars of Creation as well. Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. Pillars of Creation. Yes, that's what it is. So I'm glad you enjoy. And next week I'll be with some more physics topics. And we'll see maybe I'll get into more detail. This week was more a little about just general talking about my cosmology book. Maybe I'll go into detail about some of the cosmology, but it's kind of some heavy stuff. No, it's not going to show properly, but it's going to get into some very, very, it is working a little bit. maybe I need to take off the little background further thing. I think that's what's getting me thinking about it. So I'll do that next time. Awesome. So good seeing y'all as well. I'll be back next week, and we'll get into a bit more depth, maybe into some cosmology. And like I said, look for that debate. Right now, it's scheduled for the 11th of next month, so 2 weeks from now. Me and Flyzard are supposed to be debating whether his claim that the second law of thermodynamics means that we can't have an atmosphere on the globe. And I may also be debating on the first or the fourth. Modern day debate asked us if we wanted to move it to the first or the fourth. Actually, I don't know what the time is going to be. Maybe they listed it already. I don't know. But I know I'm just going to be free that day because that's the week before class starts. So I know I'll be able to do it. And I may debate on the first or the fourth as well, because out of the debate was asking if we can move it to the first or the fourth, and I was like, Flasto still wants to keep it the same, and I'll prefer keeping it the same as well, and so to give me more time to prepare. But I am free because I'm out of classes right now. So I told him out of the debate. I don't know if it was Ryan or James, but I guess it's James is the email, but maybe they both check it. But I told him I could do the first or the fourth as well. So I might actually do a flat earth debate on the first or the fourth since I'm available. And I actually already have a presentation made. I still have that presentation from the one that ended up being the moon debate, right? I had that presentation all set up, but then the topic changed like a few minutes before, and the presentation is still there. So I could just use that same presentation when I talk about my measurements. So I haven't had word yet that they scheduled it yet, but it might be. I mean, they might have put it up already. But we agreed to it, and we're all in talk, so it should be coming soon. She said it's going to use a lot of words. Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. I'll see everybody next time.